Our learning target is to be able to list the political factors that shaped the development of the United States. Lesson 11, Section 5, The Presidency of John Adams. When the framers of the Constitution created the Electoral College, they imagined that the electors would simply choose the two best leaders for president and vice president. That was how the nation's first two presidential elections worked. By the third election in 1796, however, it was clear that political parties had become part of the election process. The Republicans supported Thomas Jefferson for president. He had the support from many farmers in the South and West. The Federalists supported John Adams, who appealed to lawyers, merchants, shipowners, and business people in the North. When the electoral votes were counted, John Adams was elected president by just 3 votes, and Jefferson came in second, making him vice president. The nation's new top 2 leaders were political leaders from opposing parties. The Alien and Sedition Acts. President Adams tried to work closely with Jefferson at first, but Adams found that party violence made such efforts useless. Meanwhile, Federalists in Congress passed 4 controversial laws known as the Alien and Sedition Acts. They argued that these laws were needed as protection against foreigners who might threaten the nation. However, the real purpose of the Alien and Sedition Acts was to make life difficult for the Federalists' rivals, the Republicans. 3 of the laws, the Alien Acts, were aimed at aliens or non-citizens. The first law lengthened the time it took for an immigrant to become a citizen with the right to vote, from 5 to 14 years. Since most immigrants voted Republican, Jefferson saw this law as an attack on his party. The other 2 Alien Acts allowed the president to either jail or deport aliens who were suspected of activities that threatened the government. Although these laws were never enforced, they did frighten a number of French spies and troublemakers, who then left the country. The 4th law, known as the Sedition Act, made sedition, encouraging rebellion against the government, a crime. Its definition of sedition included printing, uttering, or publishing any false, scandalous, and malicious or hateful writing against the government, Congress, or the president. Alexander Hamilton approved of this law, believing that it would punish only those who published lies intended to destroy the government. Instead, the Sedition Act was used to punish Republican newspaper editors who insulted President Adams in print. One, for example, called him old, querulous, whiny, bald, blind, crippled, toothless Adams. 25 people were arrested under the new law, 10 of whom were convicted of printing seditious opinions. The Virginia and Kentucky resolutions. Republicans viewed the Sedition Act as an attack on the rights of free speech and free press. Since the federal government was enforcing the act, Republicans looked to the states to protect these freedoms. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison drew up a set of resolutions, or statements, opposing the Alien and Sedition Acts, and sent them to the state legislatures for approval. They argued that Congress had gone beyond the Constitution in passing these acts. States, therefore, had a duty to nullify the laws, that is, to declare them to be without legal force. Only 2 states, Virginia and Kentucky, adopted the resolutions. The arguments put forward in the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions were based on the states' rights theory of the Constitution. This theory holds that rights not specifically given to the federal government remain with the states. Of these, one of the most important is the right to judge whether the federal government is using its powers properly. When no other states approved the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, the protest died. The states' right theory, however, was not forgotten, and it would be raised and tested again in the years ahead. The new national capital. In 1800, the federal government moved to the city of Washington in the District of Columbia. Most of the government's buildings were still under construction. President Adams' wife, Abigail, described the new president's house as a castle in which not one room or chamber is finished, and she used the large east room for hanging laundry, as it was not fit for anything else.